Okay, we are here today with Hasani Cannon. He was our artist in residence here at Longfellow this spring. Hassani, thank you so much for being part of this project. Hassani has been working with the kids in person in some cases through Zoom, and then through us taking notes as art teachers and a questionnaire that we created in Google Docs. And he's here today to talk about the painting that he did for Longfellow School. It's a beautiful piece. Hassani, it looks like when I look at this, I see that you've used lots of different materials when creating this piece. So we would call this a mixed media piece, right? Do you want to talk about some of the materials that you used?
Absolutely. Of course, I use acrylic paint, but one thing about my practice is I love to use recyclable material or, stuff that usually we don't really look at as, art material and transform it into such. So, for example, I made like the mask out of frosted flakes cereal box.
I like.
Um, and let's see, I use a lot of aluminum foil to kind of create like a shiny, kind of effect.
So like
And you
on
can,
the trumpet here, this is aluminum foil
yes,
all around here and like lining. Oh, what's the hat made out of?
the hat is made out of I believe cinnamon toast crunch cereal box,
No.
and I use bits of like a Dorito bag
Okay.
and cut that up as well.
Awesome. It looks like there's some gold glitter material in there too. Is that like a paper?
I actually use gold duct tape. I
Oh,
just cut that
nice.
out.
And the wings, it looks like too, there's something else, like there's foil.
Yes, I often use tea bags. They're just really easy to like glue on and they're small enough so that you can like make a lot of them. So I had that pattern of like aluminum, then the tea bag and then aluminum tea bag and so on and so on.
Awesome. Okay. And then it looks like here, one of the first things I notice is that it says Stories of the Vanguard. Can you talk about what that means?
Yes, so when I finished the piece and I was trying to think of like a title to give it, um, one thing that, was always in the back of my mind is this idea of the vanguard or the group in head of the change. And I always believe that children are always the next generation to create change. So upon, the griot being the storyteller or the person to absorb all the stories of a community, uh, essentially this is like the 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 keeper of the stories of those that are going to create change, being the children.
Awesome. All right. So speaking of the griot, you told us about how the griot is the person in the community to collect everyone's stories and experiences. And so through some questions and through that Google form that the kids filled out, you came up with like a list of things that were sort of common themes
Right.
from all of the students. So I can see that you put those on the cloak of the griot. I'd love to kind of just go through. I'm seeing this here. You want to
Yes,
talk about what this was?
that was Legos. A lot of people put actually it's interesting because as a kid myself, I used to play a lot with like Legos, and it's awesome to see now that kids now are playing with them more. So
Yeah,
I
they're
wanted
still
to,
super popular, right?
yeah, for sure.
And Lego building is so good for our brains, don't you think, and our
Very much so.
creativity? I like how it's like it's Legos, but it's a little bit abstracted. So I like how you
Right.
take something that's real, but you represent it through shape and color and pattern. I think that's really an interesting process. I also see a lot of like I see a basketball,
Yes.
a soccer ball, a football, and it looks like this is a person running. Was that something that you saw a lot on the kids' responses?
Yes, a lot of kids had put a lot of walking with nature and I also related to that. I tried to take some walks as well. So I wanted, when I thought of like, walking, I thought of like the walking man on, when you're about to cross the street.
Hmm.
So I wanted to incorporate, that's how I thought of representing like walking.
Awesome. I see too, like down here, there's some plants. It looks like that must have something to do with like there's a lot of kids, maybe we're talking about walking in nature, taking hikes and things like that, spending time outside. I also see a lot of video game representations. I was telling you earlier that this Nintendo Switch, that was like my favorite part of the piece. Because again, it's a little abstract, so you don't see it right away. But then
Right.
when you look closely, you do notice that it's a Nintendo Switch, obviously, right? So what other video game things are included on here?
Um, I I also included the Pokemon. Me, or I shouldn't say me. The children had always had talked about the Pokemon and playing that as well. So I wanted to include that. I think some said Pokemon Go, but I can't quite remember.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then,
And then the creeper, right?
yes, a lot of people play Minecraft. Very very popular game. So I had to include Creeper.
And there's also like I noticed too, like the technology, like you have here that you included Zoom. That was
Yeah.
something that came up a lot. I know in like when I was talking to the younger kids, especially about spending so much time on Zoom. There's also some other things that are related specifically to events of this past year. Like I saw this. You want to talk about what you chose here to represent the pandemic?
Yes, I wanted to represent, the oh my gosh, the COVID-19 through like the germs and but also simultaneously to that wanted to represent the vaccine. A lot of kids talked about, how much COVID has changed and, unfortunately seeing their loved ones sick and whatnot. So I wanted to, be honest and be truthful to the event, but also, create an uplifting vision to it by including like the vaccine. I also include like the Black Lives Matter symbol because, as many people know, Black Lives Matter became like a really, I mean, it was always present, but it became much, much more present during these times. So I wanted that to be reflected onto the piece as well.
Mhm. And then it also is, speaking to that, we see this peace sign here.
Right.
I loved what you had talked about with this birthday cake, and I know there's some cookies up here too. So you were kind of saying that you included the birthday cake in here to represent the fact that we've made it through this past year, and we're kind of at that point where we're able to like breathe a little bit, um, and just kind of noting what we've been through, right? Mhm. And then I'm wondering if I missed any of the kids' symbols. I want to make sure we see everything because I know that you've also then included a lot of the Dinkra symbols that
Right.
you told us about in your initial presentation. So
Yeah.
maybe you could go through and talk about the Adinkra symbols that you included and why you felt like those were representative for this school at this time.
Right. So, as you guys already know, I included the Adinkra symbols that we had talked about. One in particular that stood out when we were talking was the Adinkra symbol for adaptability, or as many of you pointed out, like the turtle.
Mhm.
So I wanted that to be. Ooh, my bad for the voice crack. I wanted to include that as like the center, so that it gives an instant like, oh, I remember that. But then jumping off of that, I included some other ones. The one to the right of it in the upper right is
Up
the
here?
oh well
Or
the kind of blue swirls, yeah. That one's the Adinkra symbol for courage. But the one above that one though is it's the fences Adinkra symbol representing like protection. Um, and
and
then
over here on the shoulder, you have one too, right?
Yes, I have that for greatness. It's actually one of my favorite symbols to use because, it's really simple, but you can always abstract it and make it as intricate as you want. And I put it there because, you guys are amazing and great just to have made it through such just precocious times, and all the stuff that's changing all around us, and the fact that you guys are still here, you're still present, and you're still making do with everything around us is just amazing. And you guys truly are just some awesome people, so I
Oh,
wanted to give respect to that as well.
thank you. I also know that you've included some other symbols. Like, what is this one?
That one is for family.
And that was something that came up a lot in our conversations, right? Like spending time with family and siblings, um, and doing things, new activities as a
Right,
family too.
right.
And what about like down here? This is a symbol that just kind of represents love. I right. And I'm wondering, I don't want to miss anything. What's this one here?
That one is for justice, kind of in tandem with the Black Lives Matter. Uh, I also just like the way that that one looks. It's just really aesthetically just pleasing. Um,
Mhm.
Next to that one, though, is the Adinka symbol for skillfulness. And I placed it there specifically next to like the cookies because a lot of people had done like bakery and, just a lot of like, I guess, hobbies and, acquiring of new skills or practicing old ones. So I wanted to, represent that as well.
I love that because I do think a lot of kids took up like new activities, new hobbies, new crafts, things like that. So that's really awesome to see that it was included. I love everything that you've included in this piece. I'm so grateful that you were able to spend time with us. And really, I feel like you listened to all the things that the kids had to say. And I see it all right here in front of me in this beautiful expression. I was hoping, Hassani, that you might be able to come up with some kind of drawing prompt because, as you know, the kids are going to be getting sketchbooks with this
Right.
beautiful image on the cover. And I'd love for their first drawing in their sketchbook to be something that's guided by you, our artist in residence. Do you have anything that you'd like to see them create in their sketchbook?
Yes. So as you guys know, I use a lot of symbols within this piece. Either that might be, popular symbols that we've seen around and I kind of simplified or abstracted it, or using like Adinker symbols, which have their own, lineage or history. So my prompt to you is to create a symbol that represents you, something that you feel is completely unique to your own identity, and or maybe how complex identity is, maybe just a certain part of your identity represented within a symbol, and you can interpret and create as you will with that.
I love that. I can't wait to see what they come up with. All right,
Likewise.
Hansani, again, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you in the future. Maybe you will come and visit us at some point and see the piece we're going to be displaying it in the office, at least initially. So thank you so much.
You Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you guys for the inspiration. You guys were amazing. You're still amazing, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy the piece. I love making it, and it's a better year, and more opportunities.
Thank you.